Welcome back, YouTubers, to another video with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fest. In this video, I will be talking about this week's edition of Smackdown, but more importantly, I'll be talking about this upcoming special event from WWE, which is, of course, the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. That is Extreme Rules. I'm going to be giving you some in-depth thoughts on what I believe going into that pay-per-view. If you have any thoughts or comments on Smackdown and or Extreme Rules coming up this Sunday, please let me know down in the comment section below as per usual. So we kicked off this show with the Wyatt family defeating Sheamus and the Usos. This was apparently set up on Main Event, a show that I didn't watch, so it was quite useful actually. The WWE gave me the video package that told me exactly why this match was done. The Wyatt family got the victory and then destroyed Sheamus and the Usos post-match, which makes them look strong going into facing John Cena at Extreme Rules, and boy do they need it. So a couple of things I just want to address before I go on to this match though. Number one, Sheamus isn't on the Extreme Rules card. That's kind of a surprise. Do you think a character like Sheamus would at least be on the Extreme Rules card? And is there even going to be a tag title match with the Usos? They had a match with Ryback, you know, on Raw, and I felt that that could have probably even been done as even just a pre-show match or something like that, or even on the main card at Extreme Rules. Just, are they going to have a tag team championship match? Is it just going to be a filler match? You know, I don't really know what they're going to do there. As for John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, you know, I've liked how since WrestleMania they've incorporated the crowd in this feud, how the crowd just aren't seeming to vie for John Cena anymore, and they're kind of playing the crowd quite well here, because really they hate John Cena and they like Bray Wyatt, and they're trying to make it seem like, you know, they're moving away from John Cena and then they're going towards Bray Wyatt, which is what they did on this week's edition of Raw when they had the kids coming out doing the "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands" song and everything. I thought that was a damn good segment in itself. More than I can really say about John Cena, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. This match should be another good storytelling match here, and hopefully WWE will have Bray Wyatt go over here in some way or form, or hopefully as clean as possibly can be against John Cena. But with it being John Cena, we know that he's either going to win the match and the feud's going to be totally pointless, or he's going to lose in some BS way, which involves the Riot, which involves Luke Harper and Eric Rowan coming into the cage or something, even though the whole point of the cage match is to keep people out of the damn cage. That's what they tried to do with Kane versus Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam, but then they quite cleverly got round the Ring of Fire stipulation. So this should be a good storytelling match, but the result, in my opinion, will be key here, even though really Bray Wyatt should have already won at WrestleMania. So on this week's edition of Smackdown, we had a contract signing for a WeLC match on the Extreme Rules pre-show. You see what WWE have done there? WeLC match? Yes, I thought that was incredibly creative too. Detect sarcasm much there, guys. But all I can say about this WeLC match between Hornswoggle and El Torito is that if nothing more, it will be something different, and it will be an interesting match to say the least. Now, it was announced by Vicky Guerrero that it will be on the Extreme Rules pre-show. I personally feel that this should be on the main show, and then they should have a filler tag team championship match on the pre-show, seeing as they haven't really built to any kind of match there. So on this episode of Smackdown, RVD defeated Jack Swagger quite quickly in like 2 minutes or so. It was a really quick match actually, and you know, you had Heyman and Cesaro at ringside on commentary, etc. RVD gets the victory, Cesaro then neutralizes RVD, and I'm still really confused as to what they're trying to go for with Cesaro. Is he heel? Is he babyface? You know, what are they doing with him? They've aligned him with Paul Heyman, but he's getting cheered. I just don't really know what they're going for with Cesaro here. As for RVD versus Swagger versus Cesaro in an elimination match at Extreme Rules, this kind of fucking came out of nowhere. You know, you've had Swagger and Cesaro feuding quite, you know, for about a month or so now, and Zeb Coulter and Paul Heyman in there as well, and they've had about 3 or 4 matches on WWE TV, and it's like, you know, this would have been a great place just to have these two actually be on the damn card. But no, they've added RVD in there because I guess he's just returned and they needed some way to put him. And, you know, they used that IC Championship tournament to try and get him in there with the whole Swagger and Cesaro interaction, etc. But this just completely came out of nowhere. But it should be, at least, if nothing more, a pretty good triple threat elimination match. I just hope Cesaro gets the win here. So this match with Alexander Rusev versus R-Truth and Xavier Woods in a handicap match, you know, this is really there on the pay-per-view to be a showcase for Alexander Rusev, and that is really nothing more. Rusev will definitely win this match. There's really nothing else to say about it. It's, like I said, just a showcase on pay-per-view for Alexander Rusev and getting him a win, kind of like he did with Ryback before, and make him look strong against two sort of lower mid-card, undercard guys. I'm going to quickly talk about this Daniel Bryan and Kane feud because to me it just really feels like another mid-card WWE World Heavyweight Championship feud, which is a real shame because he ended WrestleMania 30 in the main event, the last thing we saw, and you really thought the WWE would probably go through with this whole Daniel Bryan push, maybe give him a big match at Extreme Rules, maybe further down the line make him face Brock Lesnar or something like that. And that may still happen. He may still have big opponents here, but the first opponent you have for Daniel Bryan after that big WrestleMania win is Kane. And it just, to me, feels very underwhelming. Now, I know they're bringing back the Monster Kane and everything like that. And you know what? They've done a good job, if nothing more, of booking this Monster Kane. They pretty much had to, because recently they were making Kane into a massive joke, and, it just really felt like there was no legitimacy here with the Kane character going up against Daniel Bryan. Now, this is really nothing more than a filler feud for Daniel Bryan until a bigger opponent comes along. I think the next big opponent for Daniel Bryan will probably end up being a Randy Orton, possibly, and then maybe a Brock Lesnar into SummerSlam or something. But this Extreme Rules match between Daniel Bryan and Kane, it should be a pretty good match. It's just, it feels like a mid-card WWE World Heavyweight Championship feud, which is really not what I would have expected for Daniel Bryan. But it's kind of what I may have expected from WWE, especially after what it did with CM Punk's title reign. And these two do have history, but they faced off many times before. And I guess this is a little bit of a different dynamic. The Monster Kane resurrected for like the 5th fucking time now. But really, this, if nothing more, will just be a good match to help Daniel Bryan get a victory after his big victory at WrestleMania. Nothing. For the promo segment they had, Daniel Bryan addressing Kane, basically saying his number one priority was to protect family. That was to do with Brie Bella and what happened between her and Kane on Raw, and he'll pretty much go toward Kane. And like I said, they tried to play up Kane like a monster, but it's like Schleg Daddy said on his Raw review this week, said they're still, it feels like they're just overcompensating, really, for making him look like a total joke. So he's gone from like down there to up there, and they're just trying to compensate rather than slowly build him up, which, would be more logical. But it's a filler feud for Daniel Bryan. That's really about it. A lot of people thought that El Torito versus Hornswoggle was a bit of a dumb match and a dumb segment on SmackDown, but Dolph Ziggler versus Magneto Sandow, that tops the lot. That is the dumbest of dumb, and I'm not going to talk about this because it was fucking dumb. So the Divas Championship match at Extreme Rules is going to be Paige versus Tamina. On the night after WrestleMania, Paige won the Divas Championship off AJ Lee, and they determined a new number one contender on main event the following week by having Tamina win that, and the match was made. The match on paper does sound okay, especially for someone like Paige, and this is going to be her first pay-per-view match for the WWE, being only 21 and all, but they haven't really put any effort in, A, building these two characters, i.e. Paige and Tamina, to a real level where people can really relate to them, and they haven't really built any story between the two, which is a real shame, really, because you have some natural story there, with Tamina being, AJ Lee's buddy kind of person. And then you had Paige defeat AJ Lee. So it would make sense for Tamina to want to have a little bit of Paige. But they haven't really done a decent enough job of actually putting any storyline or effort into this feud. I think they're spending a lot of time trying to build up Paige, and that is fine because she is your Divas champion, and they probably see a lot of stock on her in the future. She's only 21, for God's sake. But goddamn, this match at Extreme Rules, again, no storyline here. Nothing like that. The best we can really hope for is a good match and a crucial first pay-per-view victory for the new champion Paige on her way to hopefully a pretty decent Divas title reign, even though I don't really have too much faith in WWE. I guess until AJ Lee comes back, then they'll probably bring out the big feud between the two. So we had Big E Langston versus Titus O'Neil on SmackDown. Titus O'Neil gets DQ'd, and and it's just like the way I see this. Okay. Big E Langston hasn't really been doing much on TV, the IC Championship tournament is going along, there's not really too much of him to do. But the least you can do is give him some fucking clean victories. Now, I know in this segment, Big E Langston took out Titus O'Neil after the match, etc. It's made him look strong. But for the last 2 weeks on SmackDown, Big E Langston has faced Titus O'Neil and Alberto Del Rio, and he hasn't been able to get a clean win over either of them. Vital clean wins while he's not, being really part of the IC Championship, really, because he's the champion and there's a tournament going on. You needed to give this guy a couple of clean victories so he looked like he was going to be a tough competitor going into Extreme Rules, And really, He's really only been holding that belt while the tournament's been going on. That's really it. They haven't really done anything with Big E Langston during this time. And that brings me to Big E versus Bad News Barrett. You haven't really been able to do much with Big E Langston or Big E. But one character you can do something with, and I'm not just saying this because I'm British and because I'm a fan, but the one character you can do something with and can spread all over the show, as we've seen ever since they've debuted this Bad News Barrett gimmick, is Bad News Barrett. So even if he's not in a feud, he can appear all over the show, he can do his segments, he can be in a match, he can be in backstage segments, the guy can talk, the guy has some kind of charisma, which means there's an IC Championship, even though it didn't really work before any of the other times he's been IC Champion, at least Bad News Barrett has the potential, if WWE do it correctly and really plays for his strengths, at least he has the potential to be some kind of relevant IC Champion, because Big E Langston's title has predictably fizzled out, as we all knew it would. So I believe there may be, especially after beating RVD, Sheamus, and I think Rey Mysterio defeated 3 former world champions on the way to getting this IC Championship shot. So it really does feel like Bad News Barrett is going to win this IC Championship, and maybe WWE are going to get on board with the Bad News Barrett Express again. So we actually had Dean Ambrose defending his US Championship for the first time in, I don't know, because I don't remember the last time he defended his damn belt. I really don't, but it's about fucking time. Dean Ambrose faced Del Rio, Ryback, and Curtis Axel for the United States Championship, and I wasn't really too interested in the match because I kind of knew Ambrose was going to retain here. There was no point in putting it on Del Rio, Ryback, or Curtis Axel, to be honest. What was more important here was how this was used to book the Shield going into their big match against Evolution and Extreme Rules, which I'm pumped for. You had Ambrose retain, and then the Shield teaming up and beating up Ryback, Axel, and ending SmackDown on top, as they have done quite a few times now. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to Evolution versus The Shield for many reasons. Number one is the build. The fact that it's Evolution, one of the best factions of all time, versus The Shield, who are one of the best factions in the WWE right now, apart from the Wyatt family, of course. Based off that build, this is like a dream epic match, which a lot of people on the internet, and maybe even some casual fans maybe, would have wanted to see. So in my opinion, by the way this has been built and the characters involved, Dave Bautista, Randy Orton, Triple H, all were in big matches at WrestleMania, this should really be the main event. This has got the most build, this feels like the main event build, and the video package they have for the Shield Evolution match at the beginning of this segment got me pumped for this match even more. So if there's one match I'm really looking forward to watching at Extreme Rules, and even if I don't watch the Extreme Rules show, I will go out of my way to watch this, it's going to be Shield versus Evolution. Another reason why this should probably be main event is there are a lot of angle possibilities here. Could there be a turn in this match from someone, on the Shield side? Is Ric Flair going to be involved? What a damn spot this is for a team like the Shield. It seems really funny, doesn't it, how a team like the Shield, which includes Roman Reigns, who we know WWE are very high on, are getting this big spot to work with Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton after WrestleMania, whereas Daniel Bryan works with Kane. It is funny how these things happen, isn't it? You do get the feeling that WWE are trying to groom people like Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns to be big-time stars for the company, and let's hope they do that. And even though Daniel Bryan feels like he's in a mid-card championship right now, at least WWE have made up for it by not putting John Cena in a main event level caliber feud, but they're putting Evolution versus The Shield in a main event level feud, which I am definitely all down for. This should definitely be the match of the night. This will have the most fanfare, the most crowd reaction, the most angle possibilities, just the most unpredictability in my opinion. Who the hell is going to win here? No one really knows. So that's why it should go on the main event, and this would be the match of the night, and I guess a lot of people out there, this will be the match you're looking forward to most. I do wonder what they're going to be doing here with Roman Reigns, as he's definitely going to be the standout guy from the Shield they're going to want to do something with. Who knows? So going into Extreme Rules, it looks like a really solid show with a really damn good main event. Like I said, Shield versus Evolution, I'm looking forward to. Kane versus Daniel Bryan should at least be a good Extreme Rules match at best. And also, we've got John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, which should be a good storytelling match. They kind of advertised this as a free main event special event. So those 3 matches there should sell the pay-per-view, essentially. There's also some decent, if not very lackadaisically built mid-card feuds in there. Hopefully Bad News Barrett will win the IC belt. RVD, Sheamus, and Swagger should hopefully, at least if nothing more, be a good match, maybe even a good opening match, which Cesaro should win. So I see a lot of potential here for Extreme Rules, even though it kind of feels like WWE have gone down the same, road a little bit. Let's get 2 or 3 main matches and just book the rest as filler, and then, without really too much build or story going into it, despite the potential that it probably could have given us. So if you have any thoughts or comments on this Extreme Rules card, or even this week's edition of SmackDown, which I really didn't talk about too much because, let's face it, it wasn't really too important. I'd rather give my thoughts on the Extreme Rules pay-per-view rather than this week's SmackDown show, which as usual was kind of a little bit bland and just like, let's just get this out the way with so we can get to the damn pay-per-view. That's generally what I feel about go-home shows when it comes to SmackDown. That's why I combine the two up. It's a lot better. It gives me a lot more to talk about. Like I said, if you have any comments or anything on Extreme Rules of this week's edition of SmackDown, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video if you have, and goodbye. I'm still undecided as to whether or not I'm actually going to watch Extreme Rules. So don't expect a video with me and NJ on Sunday. It may happen. It just depends how I feel on the day. It's a bank holiday Monday, which means I'm going to have a day off from work on Monday. So maybe I'll feel like watching it then. But who knows? It's something I'll just decide on the day. More personal reasons than YouTube/business reasons, I'll say. See you later, guys.